Hi guys, it's me Samuel Ajala again, and welcome to another episode of Finance for Founders. Today I am joined by a very special guest. Um, Her name is Shen Solon. If I've pronounced that wrong, I'm sure she'll correct me. And she is the founder of Launch Lemonade. Um, in fact, all things AI, really. And this well, I'm going to get her to explain Launch Lemonade, but really it's automates startups, assists you with startups, and is really getting ahead of the AI takeover. Well, in this session we're going to be asking her a few questions as well, about AI, what the future looks like with AI, and the impact of the business. And one of the things we're going to be doing as well, she has a background in marketing. And so we're going to look at the impact of AI on marketing and what it looks like potentially in the future as well. Yeah. So, with that being said, Shen, you are welcome to Finance for Founders. How are you?
I'm great. You did pronounce it correct. That is Shen Solon. Well done. Not a lot of people do, but I'm great. Yeah, I just got back from a 3-week holiday. Saw my folks in the Philippines, and I feel refreshed and ready to go for the next half of the year.
Fantastic. How long have you? When last were you in the Philippines, and when last did you see your family?
My mom visits quite often, but I haven't seen my dad in the last 2 years. When
Oh
I was
wow,
last there, 2 years ago, I was there for a good 5 weeks. So every time I'm home, I'm like home. I don't do anything else.
fantastic. Um, so tell us a little bit about you. I gave you an intro at the start of the program, but tell us a little bit about you for those that don't know.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Shen. Like I said, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Launch Lemonade. It is the WordPress or Shopify of AI enablement. So you know what WordPress has done for a lot of businesses, where they started an idea and turned it into a website, a WordPress website, no code, or like what Shopify is doing for a lot of businesses now in terms of e-commerce. We're doing that for AI enablement. So essentially, anyone can turn a service or an idea into an AI co-pilot, and they can choose different language models. So they don't just have to subscribe to, like, is it OpenAI, is it Gemini, is it Anthropic? So depending on your use case, what you want it to do, whether you're in finance, you're a coach or consultant or a student, or like a small team, you can turn any of your services or a business idea into an AI assistant or co-pilot and start selling it to your customers.
Fantastic. I'm going to go a little bit further about that explanation.
Yeah.
So I'm an executive coach, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I want to start a business today. I want to scale it, and three of my services are 1 hour sessions a month. Another one service is 2 hour sessions a month, and another one is 3 hour sessions a month, or 4 hour session a month. Let's put them in multiples. So one, two, and four. Right.
Uh-huh.
Once a month meeting, bi-weekly meetings, and every week meetings. Right.
Uh-huh.
How does Launch Lemonade assist somebody in this predicament right now? Talk me through it.
So we already have coaches who have created their co-pilots on our platform.
Wow.
So you would still have kind of those in place, but I'm sure some of your clients want to talk to you 24/7 or at 12 midnight. They just can't stop thinking about something and they can't wait. I wish I could talk to Sam right now, but because they can't, they can basically, if you have PDFs or recordings of like a conversation setup, you have frameworks, you can feed that in as knowledge base to your co-pilots, and essentially all of your clients can talk to you 24/7, 7 days a week,
Wow.
in a version of an AI co-pilot. And when they really want to basically have that one-to-one with you, you can set up links in place, or like appointment bookings in place within that same chat, and they can book, all right, I need to actually just talk to Sam now. So it could be your top of the funnel channel as well. So there's many ways to think about it, kind of like the world's your oyster right now in terms of what you want to do with these AI co-pilots, or basically cloning yourself. And a lot of our creators right now are experimenting on what that looks like for them.
So, talk me through your journey, how you got to this. As I mentioned, you started off in marketing, product owner, and then eventually you came into the AI space as well. Talk us through that journey and how you basically became passionate about it.
For sure. So actually, yeah, like as I said, I started my career in marketing. I was part of digital transformation team. So, 10 years ago, a lot of businesses invested heavily on traditional marketing. So whether that's billboard or TV commercial or print. Um, and then there was a wave of like, okay, let's now take some of our budget out and move it to online websites. Let's build apps. So I was part of kind of like that cohort of people who moved traditional marketing online. And then we started playing around with data. So how can we maximize our digital marketing budget to make sure that our customers convert? So we started building like customized experiences using data, using machine learning. And then I started training a chatbot in 2018, and using machine learning. You had to train, there were a 200-person team who was like training and like testing and QAing the chatbot. And then I saw overnight after launching it, it increased the efficacy of customer service by 20%. And that was in 2018. And then it just got better and better. And then I also, in my product management role, so having been in marketing and started owning like CSM systems, CRM systems, working with data, I started working with, engineering teams, data scientists, architects, and sometimes there were as big as 30 engineers in my team. We would like deploy fraud models, credit models, decisioning models, affordability models. And also we started using like facial recognition to like, combat bad actors as well. And this must have been like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, if not. And that was before kind of like AI or these
Yeah,
language models became accessible. Like generative AI was basically got out in public. And so because I saw the impact of machine learning, and what was known to kind of like be like AI then, I saw the impact on the businesses and how it got them to profitability, it got them to acquire a lot of customers, it got them to improve their operations. As soon as it became accessible, I was like, everyone should get on top of this. Everyone should utilize this accessible form of AI now, generative AI, to scale their businesses as well. And so I started actually essentially two businesses. One is a startup, which is Launch Lemonade, the platform that allows anyone to custom their co-pilots, assistants, and soon agents. But I also have Scale That Thing, which is basically me providing fractional AI and growth support to startups so that they can scale their operations or optimize their products through AI. So kind of like those are the two work streams that work hand in hand together right now.
fantastic. Tell us a little bit about Scale That Thing. That was going to be my next question. We've spoken about Launch Lemonade. Give us some information or tell us a little bit more about Scale That Thing.
Sure. So maybe about 3, 4 years ago, founders started coming to me from because I was in product leadership roles in startups that are now unicorn startups. Some founders were coming to me asking for advice on, like how do we build products? How do we kind of like use data to inform our product development? And since then, I started working with startups from an advisor, kind of like ad hoc perspective. I became a Techstars mentor. And then more and more founders were coming to me asking, okay, how do I launch a product? How do I use data? How do I, scale my product or my idea? And so basically I was like, all right, I can scale myself from an advisory perspective, build some systems in, and actually offer this as a service to startups where it can help them cost effectively um, launch an idea and scale it using product-led growth frameworks and
Yeah,
AI.
fantastic. And so right now, right? as a business, who would you say are the companies, if there is if there are at all, that are most likely to be impacted within the next 6 months without the introduction of AI?
With the introduction of AI.
Without the introduction of AI. So if they don't introduce it within this next 6 months,
Hmm.
what are the kind of company? I know it's going to increase in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, the next 5 years. But
Hmm.
what are the industries, businesses that are most likely to be impacted without the introduction of AI or investing heavily into AI?
Yeah, I that's a really interesting question because I am see we've already seen a lot of people being made redundant in the past 6 months,
Yeah,
year. Um, you know, big companies letting go a lot of like their customer service sector, for example, kind of like teams, for example, and replacing it with AI. And they have publicly said that there are a lot of consultancy firms as well who are reducing their kind of like numbers in size for specific roles. And I think that that's just gonna grow. So I think, like at the top of my head, consultancies, agencies who are working with like small to medium businesses and even enterprises now having internal teams of that are lean and are able to use AI tools. So
yeah.
whereas before companies would have multi-million budget to work with marketing agencies or design agencies, and I think with like tools now that are very accessible and cheap, these teams would just reduce in size or move internally and just start using these tools. I can see a trend as well. So I've been kind of like judged in accelerator programs and have access to kind of like a startup ecosystem. I'm seeing a lot of lawyers, for example, are building their own startups and building their own AI solutions that basically make, like documentation and legal paperwork very accessible and easy to um, use for startups. Instead of going to a law firm, if you're a startup, you can just use the tools that these startups are building. Financial analysts, I don't know, it's basically like consultant type. Um, I think teams, if they don't AI enable themselves and scale by building kind of software or AI versions of their offering, I think are going to lose out.
Wow. Wow. So in the immediate to near future, the workforces of many organizations you believe are going to be impacted, right? And then after that, do you think that you're going to be seeing a rise of independent contractors working with AI, or like what does it look like now in the next 5 years or 10 years or so?
Yeah.
Should people be worried about this as well?
I'm excited about it. So prediction is a prediction, right? Like fortunately or unfortunately, my predictions are based on other people's prediction and how kind of like their visions of the world. Like I listen to Sam Altman, I listen to Elon Musk. Like I'm a little bit embarrassed about that, but I listen to what these guys are predicting. And as I'm developing a product that who's on a mission to provide kind of like the mass market accessible versions of kind of mini versions of what they're building, and we're language
Yeah.
model agnostic, democratizing that, I see a world where everyone's going to be their own startups as well. So this is not original from me. I heard this from somewhere. Everyone's going to have their own startups and everyone's going to be offering some sort of service or product that's going to be either an AI form, an AI agent form, or like ran like a product that's being ran by AI teams or AGI teams. And I find that really exciting. So I had a conversation with a friend who is also in kind of like the AI no code space, and he said, if Beyonce's lawyer was to build an AI version or a clone of himself, would everyone just have a Beyonce lawyer? Would everyone just have access to that lawyer? And I said, I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think there are going to be multiple lawyers who will um, turn their services into some sort of AI co pilot or agent. and they would be competing against each other. So these different lawyers are still going to be kind of like negotiating with each other. And so as us, like you're a financial consultant, or you provide financial services. Other people will providing this different things, but they specialize slightly on different things. And my financial agent is going to be negotiating with maybe yours from someone else's. So I'll have a financial agent that I might subscribe from you, Sam, and then someone else is going to have a financial agent that's subscribed from somewhere else. And every time we have a financial kind of like negotiation or transaction, these agents are going to be negotiating with each other. So I see a world where everyone's going to have their own kind of business startup, and all of these agents are just going to be negotiating with each other, transacting with each other. Yeah, that is how I see the world. But there are many versions of that as well, but that is kind of what I'm banking on and hoping.
What would be your advice to somebody that is fearful of what to come when it comes to AI? What would be your advice?
I was, what I told you, I was in the Philippines, and some of my friends who are business owners, they own egg farms. These are my best friends growing up. They are kind of like doctors. They One of my best friends is oncologist, and even my parents. They're like, we just don't understand it, and like it's using a lot of data. I don't know what data is being used. I'm not going to use it. And but I hung out with them, and I started explaining to them like there are many use cases for AI that could help your egg farm right now, for example. So my best friend, he was saying he wanted to expand his operations from this region to like 5 cities north of him. And I was like, all right, what is your main question right now? And we'll use an AI tool to um, answer that question. And he was like, I don't know where to put to build storages throughout the next 5 cities so that my eggs can compete in the market, um, sell to a maximum number of customers, and remain fresh as I deliver from this city to the next 5 cities over. I basically said the same thing, based on population, based on the fact that my eggs have to remain fresh, and based on competition, blah, 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 blah. Name like 5 exact locations between these cities, so that I can expand my egg operation. And it listed down specific locations. I even asked for longitude, um, um, data, and it suggested uh,
Wow.
the exact locations. I was telling my friend, and he was like, wow, like that's amazing. That just saved me hours or days having to find people to help me locate, or like, even just kind of like start thinking about it. Now I have a blueprint of where I can just go and see, and then like see if I can put up a kind of like egg storage there. And they've now turned around. Like his wife is now thinking about putting up an AI agency in the AI marketing agency in the Philippines. So
That's amazing.
it's just about exploring what you want to explore. If you have a question, see if like some sort of language model or tool can answer that. If you're into design, or if you're into graphics or movies, just start experimenting and start understanding what it can do.
Fantastic. That sounds amazing. What has been your the biggest challenge in having a startup, right? Whether it's scale that thing or launch Lemonade, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, what are the biggest challenges you faced?
Well, it was quite a transition receiving, like a salary to kind of like, oh, what am I gonna do, and how am I gonna find this money the next month or so? Like, how am I gonna survive? And that's how you start, and like all of these paperwork that you have to set up, and like from registering at company's house to finding, like an accountant, or knowing what you need to be able to kind of like pay your taxes for the next year. So in that transition has been quite, I wouldn't say difficult, but but only because I haven't, it's something that you're kind of like, I would rather delegate this rather than do it myself. Kind of thing. But then, at the end of the year, like tax year's ending, and you're like, oh no. I've had part-time jobs before, but it's still, like it's still, and I've had to basically do self-assessment as well before, but it's still like something that um is quite tricky.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things about a startup, or starting your own business, is the many caps that you have to wear. It sounds as though finance is one cap you certainly don't like to wear. What are the areas of business that you do enjoy? What are the aspects of business that you actually enjoy doing, or that's more aligned with your skill set? Probably is the right word to say.
Yeah. I am in between looking for ways to deliver a solution in the most cost effective way, and also experimenting with the latest technology. So, like, kind of like, I love innovating and like working with new tech. So, I have had the privilege of having big budgets before where I could integrate like six-figure solutions, test it, and that's okay. I've worked with agencies as well with a, like a 7-digit budget, and like
Wow.
experimenting on like how like a simple design change could shift something. So um I actually enjoyed that element of experimentation, but I want to do it in a cost effective way, and I love doing that for the startups that I work with, including Launch Lemonades. I love finding the first customer, first 10 customers, and growing that exponentially through experimentation and growth hacks and machine, like again, using data to cost effectively do that. So I guess that like the best part is kind of like experimenting effectively and learning fast is, yeah, something that I really enjoy.
You spoke about you love tech um, as a startup, right? What would you say are the five top must-have softwares, tools that every startup must use? So I give it for example. A friend of mine introduced me to a software called Descript. I think that Descript is life changing, right? And what makes it even better now is that they've applied a lot of these AI aspects to it that has really have enhanced it, whether
Hmm.
it's scripting, whether it's even editing. Literally, it just makes it saves hours, like
Hmm.
literally hours of somebody's time. So, what are the for a startup? This is so. When you're looking to get into business, what are the five must-have tools that a business owner must have?
A great question. I think it depends on where you are on your startup journey. If you're just validating an idea, go for free or the cheapest tools out there just to see if your idea would actually solve a problem or it would attract initial traction, like initial customers, or drive traffic. So you could there are free website builder tools or like really cheap website builder tools. If you want to have a wait list, for example, you could use a combination of Google Forms, or like Devin, for example, use Google Forms, and they're now valued at 2 billion, and this was before they launched. um so there's that, and Google Forms is free. There are cheap versions of Google Forms like Typeform or whatever. And there's Card, for example, which is a landing page builder, and you can use it for free, or you purchase, I think it's really cheap. Uh, so if you're in that phase, and then you, for example, you want to build, you can't afford a marketing team or a marketing agency, build an AI team. So for example, with me, I have Otter instead of Descript. So I basically record my conversations. If I have an idea while I'm walking, I just have a conversation with myself. And then with the transcript, I have an AI team that transforms that audio recording into a blog, into LinkedIn posts throughout the month, into tweets throughout the month, into a YouTube description, into ideas of what other content I can put together. And instead of, again, spending between 500 to 2,000 a month for an agency who could have done that in, like a week's time, I'm doing it in 2 hours every Sunday afternoon at
Wow.
15 pounds a month. So
What
that's
software is that?
Launch Lemonade. I built it on mine. But if you don't have Launch Lemonade, use OpenAI. ChatGPT has their own Copilot builder. You can customize your own individual Copilots if you're not, gonna sell it, and if you like how ChatGPT sounds, then fine. But other people think that ChatGPT can't sound like them. So on our platform, you can choose Anthropic or the Claude, because it sounds more conversational, or you can use Llama, which is from Facebook, because it sounds more conversational every day. So that's why I like kind of like the different language models on the platform, because I can choose different language model for each Copilot.
Yeah.
So I think that so to answer your question, a recorder, mine is Otter, something that records audio at least, is a must for me. For market research as well, you can use it to interview customers, and you record the conversation and you analyze, like, what are the themes, what are the frustrations of kind of like this, a sentiment analysis. You can produce a sentiment analysis at the back of your recordings. There is a tool called Cluso as well, where you can collect quantitative data at scale. So instead of like doing interviews, and capturing their audio recording, you could just pre-record the questions and get them to answer on audio, and then their tool would analyze the sentiment in real time. So that's also one tool. So some sort of audio capturing, I think, is really good. That transcribes. The second tool would be uh, uh, scheduler. So there are each of the kind of social media scheduler that kind of allows you to pre-schedule posts throughout the week or the month, would have a free account for you.
Yeah.
So you can, test it out just to kind of scale your reach. Social media platforms, for sure. As a startup, you need to establish your brand and start growing kind of your following. Depending on what you are, if you're a B2B, I definitely would say be on LinkedIn, have a business page, establish your thought leadership. If you're kind of like a consumer product, maybe TikTok. So it really depends where your customers are. And then another tool that I would say, a video editor. So like to produce content, I personally use CapCut. It allows you to kind of like really in a fun way cut videos, record, and they've got templates as well, so you can just put pictures together. It becomes like a TikTok video. And then the last one would have to be, what's the last one? Oh, this is an interesting question. What do I have? WhatsApp is also, or some sort of community builder. So I find that a lot of kind of like the startups now are building their communities, finding their first 10 customers by either building a community or being part of big communities as well, where they can
Yeah.
talk to their ideal customer profile, get them to test it, and then eventually become their customers.
Fantastic. I was thinking of building a community on WhatsApp, but I was concerned that it may not be the case on business WhatsApp, but I was concerned that putting them in a group or in a community like that, I didn't want people to have access to each other's numbers. So I'm still pondering whether I should use that. I know there's other platforms that are not as accessible, because everybody has WhatsApp, but I'm just thinking Discord.
Discord could be great. Yeah.
Discord, yeah, but that's not accessible to everyone, because not everybody has that on their And I know, no, it's because of the world we're in now. Any resistance to entry, any form, just turns people off. Like, it needs to
Mhm.
be so seamless, so easy to get in, and without any resistance. Otherwise, people just opt against it.
Agreed.
You know,
Agreed.
so But yeah, that's fantastic. You know, do you referred? I'm not sure if you're referring to Launch Lemonade specifically, but you said your AI team, right? Is that how you refer to um, an AI that's assisting you, or is that specifically your AI team that helped you build Launch Lemonade?
No, and my AI team is a dashboard where an individual boxes that I have an AI LinkedIn co-pilot. I have an AI blog writer co-pilot. I have an AI Twitter co-pilot. It's a pre-design. I designed it within Launch Lemonade to help me, scale my content creation.
Do you know why I asked you that question? Right? Is I watched an episode of I forgot the name of the podcast, but Sam Parr. You spoke to Sam Parr. I'm going to talk to you about your conversation with Sam Parr. What's their podcast again?
Not my first million.
Yes,
My first,
and
yeah.
then he made a statement, or somebody on his show made a statement, and they said that with the aid of AI, we're going to see our first unicorn one person business, right? Scaled basically to 1 billion, right? And so I wanted to ask you, because you referred to your AI team, right? How realistic do you think in the future, next 5 years, 10 years, that we're going to be seeing billionaire business owners with only one person working in their business, that person being them, but the AI softwares that they use probably account for about 500 people, or what the equivalent of what 500 people could do,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
uh, that's my question to you. How realistic is that? And does that look like something that could potentially happen?
Personally think it's realistic today with the right creator. And that is our mission at Launch Lemonade. We want to produce the next one person billion dollar
Wow.
company. I can imagine, like, for example, if I was, give me a name of a really famous dietitian. What was his name? Joe, kind of like during, there was a guy who created cookbooks and exercise ritual kind of regimes
Yes,
during
yes.
the pandemic.
Um, I forgot his name, but the one that was doing during lockdown, that was doing
Yeah,
all.
lockdown exercise. If
Yes,
he created his co-pilot now that allowed his users to interact with it, like I can take a picture of my fridge right now, for example. I can build a co-pilot in Launch Lemonade called Shen, the nutritionist, and and what it would do is take a photo of my contents of my fridge, and then based on kind of like my goals, my health goals and my needs, it would produce like, okay, this is what you make, this is what you're gonna have for breakfast, dinner, lunch, dinner, whatever, and these are gonna be the exercises that you need to do, and you're gonna achieve your goal in the next 3 months. Now, if someone famous would do that now with Launch Lemonade and scale it, charge £1 a month to a billion users, if they have that reach, they're gonna be the next billionaire. They're gonna make a billion in 1 month, right? So th- my mission, my personal mission at Launch Lemonade is to allow our creators to actually achieve their financial goals, whether that's a million, a billion. It really is down to them. We provide the platform, you market it.
wow, 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 wow. That's amazing. Um, what is your Sorry, I'm still stuck up on your last question because I certainly want to be a billionaire. What is your strategy, your marketing strategy to get yourself out there? I know you mentioned having waiting lists as well, or softwares that could assist you in having waiting lists. What is your strategy at Launch Lemonade?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I have negated a lot of like strategies that I would usually recommend for startups, because it if you already have a strong problem that you're solving and this problem is known and felt by a lot of people, you hone in on your messaging and then you get wait people to sign up to your wait list with a promise that I will solve that problem. Now with Launch Lemonade, the problem is in the future. You're gonna lose your job. You're gonna lose your livelihood. It's not felt now. So you're
Yeah.
almost just kind of like, you're not, launch lemonade is not solving a problem now. We're saying that we are going to solve that problem next year, but you have to start now.
And
So
a
we're
lot of to do with education, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's a lot of education and waiting for the market to ripen, for example, is more mature, is what I like to say. We're waiting for the market to mature. Now, our strategy has been, let's play with some value proposition. Let's tell people what it can do, what it does now, and let's see if it drives traffic. And it has been. So even though we're not solving a problem now, we're not spending anything on marketing ads. We've driven about 11, 12,000 people on our website since mid-January. We have now over 300, I think 320, 330 creators who've built their own co-pilots in the platform. And and people are starting to pay us. And again, we're not, like, this is a very new kind of like way of thinking about things, of turning a service into a co-pilot and selling it. But we are getting early adapters now. So to answer your question, it is more about like experimenting, um finding the people who would be interested, and kind of just testing out if people would pay for it.
That is amazing. So, what's your main platform for advertising and promoting? Because saying that you haven't really invested so much in marketing, so to say, and yet you've had so many thousand people visit the site, and you've got, did you say 120 people that have built something on there so far?
330.
330 that in 6 months,
Yeah.
and you're not really like paid advertising it. So, like, what are the platforms you work on? Like, what is your strategy? Are you doing workshops? Like, I think that's amazing.
I haven't done workshops yet, but I have partnered with a few amazing um, kind of communities, and I have 3 or 4 booked in the next couple of months. Uh, Also with agency hackers, I'm doing a workshop at the Royal Institution on how to build co-pilots, and I've got one with female founder rise. I've got one with specifically around climate tech and how to use AI to solve problems there. And I have one in Ideas Fest in touring as well. So there'll be like thousands of kind of businesses there. But the channels that I've used really, for me, that has driven kind of like the traffic is TikTok and LinkedIn. So
Wow.
LinkedIn, you've seen me on LinkedIn. It's basically just that. And then on TikTok as well, there are a couple of videos that performed well that has driven traffic, and I kind of just like, keep reusing those. Yeah, it's just very simple. Kind of, yeah, experimenting on these channels that's driven the traffic so far.
That's amazing. um what's your model? Have you raising funds? Are you bootstrapping at the moment? What are you doing at the moment?
We are completely self-funded and bootstrapped since January. We wanted just to validate the idea, like, again, kind of like play around a little bit before we owe anyone any money. We wanted to just see how we perform, because there's only 2 of us. um, and now that we have achieved that, and we have defined our vision and like what we think we can actually provide um, um, our future customers with, and our existing customers with, we will be fundraising soon. And I'm just setting things up now, taking my time to really understand what that means for us. um, uh, Looking at the market, because it's hard to do our valuation when kind of like there's nothing else that we can compare ourselves with
Yeah.
currently. Um so yeah, just kind of like taking our time to get everything set up to then start fundraising, hopefully in the next quarter.
You're one of the first to enter the markets to do this, right?
Yeah.
What advantages and disadvantages will you have by being the first in the market?
um the disadvantages are basically acquisition. I think I say acquisition, but I feel confident about an acquisition plan that I'm thinking of. But I think it would be
To
kind
be
of like,
acquired
no,
by
as
another.
in acquiring customers.
Okay.
Acquiring paying customers, I think, is a challenge that, I mean, we have a strategy for it. We know how we know what to experiment on, and anyway, to kind of like see if we can, if we drive that up. Um, because we're waiting for the market. So it's very hard to solve a
Yeah.
solution to a problem that doesn't exist yet. So I think because that's the case, it's also kind of going to be tricky for us to prove our valuation right now to potential investors, to say, we know that this is going to be this big. This is why we're valuing ourselves at that. So kind of like thinking through that is, I think, is going to be kind of one of the challenges for us.
That's amazing. Um, you have history as um, a mentor for accelerators. Uh, Talk to me how you got into that and why you're passionate about it. What drives you to do so?
How I got into it was through Andy Yim, who was my former manager and my mentor now, and also a couple of other founders who I advised before. So it was just through recommendation, like, oh, we know this woman who's passionate about product led growth and AI. We think that she would be perfect for this accelerator. And then they would then come to me and reach out and ask if, like, I could be a mentor and an advisor for their founders. It is just through kind of like word of mouth recommendation. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what do you enjoy about it? What are the perks of mentoring businesses and entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs?
Um, I am one of those people who want to change the world for the better. And I love working with products and founders who want to do the same and who believe that they can. And I think that's the most exciting part, is seeing kind of like the world actually change, and kind of people actually doing what they want to do. And kind of being part of that is, it's amazing. So yeah, that's my favorite part. Like, yeah.
Change. What what are your passions? What drives you? You mentioned about seeing change, but at the core of it all, what inspires you? What drives you? What keeps you waking up each morning to keep doing what you're doing?
Equality and equity, I think, definitely, for with all the projects that I have, and my favorite projects is rooted on equality and equity, specifically equity. So I like working with startups who, want to improve AI systems, for example, for darker skin colored people. So there are technology in place that is being tested in America, here in the UK, where it would diagnose certain types of cancers or diseases just through an image or whatever, like data. But it doesn't perform well with, for example, women. There's this lung cancer device that, just with an x-ray, it could accurately tell if you have lung cancer or not. It performed really well on men. It didn't on women, because there was
Mm.
more data on men. And there was this founder that I've been kind of like advising. They want to improve. So when you have diabetes, you have color discoloration, and there's already a device, some sort of kind of like technology that gets you basically just take a picture of the area, and then for white people, it got them kind of just from the picture, it got them the doctor's appointment right away, because it was quite clear, like, yeah, this is something that could be something,
Yeah.
is diabetes, or like kind of a cancer or something. But with darker skin colored people, it was hard to triage the images, because they didn't have enough data on darker skin colored people. So I'm really excited about products like those, like collecting data from diverse groups. Um, and that's because I want equity within these technology as well. Like it can't just be white people who are kind of like the systems are able to service. It has to be kind of, there has some sort of kind of diversity in the types of people that they can service as well. And that's no one's fault. It's just that the data has been collected specifically,
Yeah.
predominantly, kind of like within these, yeah, uh, cohort.
Yeah. Was there something that triggered this passion? An event growing up, you didn't like injustice, maybe you witnessed something that triggered this passion.
What triggered this passion? I think just being a woman, and like an Asian woman as well, kind of going to the world, wanting to do the same things, getting rejected, getting discriminated here and there, and kind of just like wanting to prove that we can, and wanting to inspire other kind of um, Filipinos or Southeast Asian women or Asian women to also try, because you can.
Fantastic. And I'm gonna for any budding entrepreneur that's coming up behind you, right? Your top 5 lessons you've learned so far in entrepreneurship, in being a business owner, in being a founder. What are the 5 top lessons you can share with any budding entrepreneur?
Wow, five. That's a lot. The first definitely is find your crew, or surround yourself with people that inspire you, because just gonna be as good as the people you are constantly with. So that is hands down my number one advice. The second is shoot your shot. So I got this advice from my mentors, just to try it. Like if you have an idea, just shoot your shot, take the shots that you need to take. um and yeah, try, do your best to be able to kind of achieve what you want to achieve. The third is, um uh what would the third be, is to sleep. Definitely, like, find time to sleep, because it changes your focus, makes you smarter. The fourth is, um don't overthink everything. Like, uh, there are things that you need to think about, but you can only think about so much. So where things that you can kind of like rely on strong assumptions, intuition, um easy decisions, thinking fast and slow, kind of, categorize what you need, what you can think fast on, and
Yeah.
prioritize what you want to think about. Read that book, it's great. And the last,
By Daniel Gorman, Think and Fast.
yeah, Daniel Kahneman.
That's
Yeah, and Amos Tversky, yeah, great old book. And the last is be curious. Like, explore your curiosity. If you're wondering about something, go to ChatGPT and explore curiosity. But yeah, stay curious and explore what makes you curious.
fantastic. Thank you so much, Shen. I know you're an extremely busy person. Don't want to take up too much of your time. But do you have any last comments that you want to leave with our viewers that are in business, getting into business? Any last final advice?
Be cost effective, stay lean, scale smart.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I was recently speaking to somebody who they're trying to manage their burn rate, and they basically have halted on everything, uh, but advise that if you spend slowly, it can also affect the trajectory of your growth of your business.
Yeah,
But at the same time, if you spend too fast, you quickly run out of cash.
yeah,
So there's a balance that has to be done. And really, what you really need is some kind of projection or forecast, and have all of your plans. Unfortunately, you're going to have some tough decisions, because he began to build. I think he got funding of about 2.5 million. He began to build very fast, and hired quite a number of people within the organization, and had to cut a few in order to save costs. But no, I think that this is a common thread within business. And I think one of the things I always advise people is to educate yourself on finances. What I find with a lot of people is that they tend to run away from finance. But even if you have an accountant, you have, a CFO, as a business owner, you need to educate yourself to some extent, right? If somebody says gross margins, if somebody is speaking to you about your burn rate, you need to understand what all of these terms mean and how it potentially has an impact on your business. And I find that most startups, CEOs that I know, tend to assume that the finance person would take care of everything, whereas ultimately you have to be in a know. Maybe not to the detail that your accountant or CFO know, but to some extent, you really have to understand those terms and those terminology. So important to business growth. Yeah. So it's ironic you said that. I thought I'll just add that to the by the end, to share with our audience. But
Yeah.
Shen, once again, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. You shared so much. Thank you for being open, honest with your journey. And yeah, look forward as well to assisting you and working with you with Launch Lemonade, whether we post some things out to our audience, to our group. Any events you have as well, just let us know. We share it on our platform as well, whether we'll post it for you on LinkedIn, or even on our email database to send it to our group. Just let us know how we can support you. And once again, wish you all the best in the journey.
Thank you so much, Sam. It was lovely being here, and I'll speak to you soon.
Brilliant. You take care. For the rest of us, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Look out for us next week. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And any comments you have, we'll try our best to respond to your comments. Take care and enjoy your day. Bye.
Bye.